Hi and welcome back to Apple Cottage. It's Tuesday morning, so it's gardening together. It's early, so I have a cup of tea. But this morning, I'm gonna have a slice of banana bread. I made it the other day. So delicious. Now, when I first started gardening together, it may have been my first actual episode, maybe the second episode, I did a combination which was called the fundamental trinity of cooking. In that I talked about carrots, onions, and celery. And I gave some information, some facts about those vegetables. But I have a lot of people that live around me that have asked me if I would go into a little more depth on those three vegetables because those are ones that they grow every single year. So I was happy to oblige. So today we're going to talk about celery. Celery is in the parsley family. There's 3 different types of celery and a little over 300 varieties that I could find of celery. This year, I'm doing 4 different types of celery. Top 2 picks is Tender Crisp. I grow that every single year because it's delicious, it's an heirloom. It's pretty easy to grow. Though celery has probably, I'd probably rate it at about a 5 or 6 on a scale that makes it a little bit tougher to grow, but I still think that most people can grow it. It's just you just need a little more patience with celery than you do other vegetables. But my 2 top are the Tender Crisp and a Chinese Pink. Now the Chinese Pink still has stalks like the regular celery, only the stalks are thinner and they have a tinge of pink to them. But flavor-wise, they're supposed to be exceptional. So I'm totally excited about growing that. I love facts, so let's get some facts out of the way first. Celery is very low calorie. A lot of people that are on diets eat celery. A lot of people juice celery, and then by drinking it, it can help you lose weight. That's very interesting. But I like it because it's high in vitamin C, K, B vitamins, a lot of fiber. And one of the interesting facts about celery is, though the Romans did eat celery, they used a lot of it more as a medical, which is interesting because you don't really think of celery as medical. But they used to chew on it for toothaches. After they were done eating, they would chew celery stalks because it would clean your teeth and your mouth. And they would eat it before bed because it would help you sleep. Now, there's lots of other things that people say celery is good for. There are records about 3,000 years ago of Romans using and eating celery. In Europe, in Italy, about 1664, I think it was, it really became a fad, and that a lot of people used it in cooking. The earliest I could find it in the United States was 1856. Could have been here before then, but that's all I could find. And one of the interesting things, now when you buy celery in the store, or when you're growing your celery, usually it's about a foot and a half tall. But celery, some varieties can actually grow over 3 feet tall. Now that is a massive celery. When you buy celery in the store, make sure it has at least 10 to 12 stalks in it. But sometimes you can find them bigger than that they have more stalks than that. Sometimes when you buy that in the store, or you're growing your own and you're cutting it off, there'll be a lot of leaves. One thing I don't recommend is adding the leaves when you're making a soup base or a stock, or even sometimes soups, especially if those leaves have yellowed at all, because it can add a bitter flavor to what you're making. Just eat them raw. When we were little, we would eat celery with peanut butter, or celery with a soft cheese on it, or a cream cheese mixture. We just thought it was great fun. We love celery. So when you grow up eating celery, you are always going to love celery. Now, the celery seeds are very small. You need to start them inside, and they take a long time to grow. In fact, anywhere, depending on the variety, from anywhere from 8 weeks to 12 weeks. So you're going to look at your last frost date, and you're going to go back either 2 or 3 months depending on the variety. So my frost date being May 20th, I have to go April, March, February. I have to start mine in February, which is around the corner. So I'll be starting that when I set up all my shelves and lighting, and I'll show you all that. I like to plant my seeds individually. They're very temperamental when they go to being transplanted, so you have to be careful. I wouldn't say you have to be very careful, but you have to be careful when you transplant them, because transplant shock is tough on them. I like to have at least 5 or 6 leaves before I go to transplant it outside. And watch your weather. If it looks like it's going to frost at all, just wait a week before you transplant them out, because they are tender plants. And if the nighttime temperatures or daytime temperatures are below 50, 55 degrees, your celery probably will not survive, or it won't thrive. You might get some celery, but not a lot of celery. Now, a point that a lot of times we think, because when we buy celery in the store, it looks like this. It has, if you open it up, that's called the heart of the celery, that center part. And it comes in a plastic bag usually. Sorry, dog's barking. And you put it in your refrigerator. Do not wash this before you put it in your refrigerator. If you do, it will become very limp and not good. My mom always would, when she'd buy it, she'd wash it, and then she'd slice it, and then she had this big jug, and she would just throw slices of carrots that look like French fries and pieces of celery, and they were ice cold, and then they would stay really crisp. But if you're just washing it and then putting it in your refrigerator, it will get limp in a day or two. Then, unless you're using it for soup or you're going to fry it, it's not really worth anything. So I'm going to start my celery in February. Around the country, some of you have probably already started yours. And I grow them under lights. I have a few grow lights, but for the most part, when I'm starting my seeds, I just grow them under shop lights, fluorescent tubes. I usually have a cool and a warm bulb, and it just works really well. Celery needs about 6 hours of sun, but it really needs to be shaded when it's really the hottest part of that afternoon. That's too hot for it. Now, if you want your celery basically to look like this, you want to blanch it. There's pros and cons of blanching. Now, some people dig a trench and they put the celery in, and as it grows, they push the dirt. Some people grow it on the surface and just pile the dirt up like you would be hilling potatoes. But I don't want to do either one of those, because I don't want to have to wash all that dirt off. So I'm using 12-inch PVC pipes. I have them cut taller than what my celery would be, so they're about 2 feet tall, because I push them in the ground a little bit so they don't tip over. And then I have a few holes in there just for airflow, for a little bit of sunlight to get in there, but not too much, because I want that blanching effect. Also, I don't have to do anything with the soil. I can easily just pour my liquid seaweed fertilizer or fish emulsion into the PVC pipe. I get to put some of my copper tape around the bottom, a little bit above the soil line, so that slugs won't come in, because slugs will eat your celery. And there's a few other things that are pests and problems that celery can get. There's some little worms that will burrow into it. You can get early or late blight, and you can get what they call pink rot. I think probably the easiest way to get rid of that, or not have it at all, is to have a lot of microorganisms in your soil, because that will really help with pink rot. some things can happen. If you have a lot more humidity, that can affect celery. We have a very dry season, even when we have a lot of rain. It's still, our air is dry, and Wyoming is just known to be drier than a lot of areas around the country. Benefit for us. So I have my celery. Then I'm going to put my PVC pipe down there. And then around those edges, because I'm having my copper tape up an inch or so above, I will put a layer of compost. And that way, as it rains or I water, it just seep down in there, and as the roots get bigger, it makes my celery stronger. Celery likes a lot of water, but you can't water it so much that it's sitting and getting soaked on its roots and it's never drying out. But if the soil is feeling kind of dry the first inch, you need to water it. If you water it too much, so that's when you can really get that pink rot. Marigolds will help also. Now in the United States, the average person eats 6 pounds of celery. Now you probably don't think you do, but it's in so many things. Soups and stews and different things you cook. When you go, a lot of times it's in salads and juices. And so on average, the average adult, 6 pounds of celery. The United States itself grows over 1 billion pounds of celery in 1 year. Now, we import a lot from Mexico, but then we export it to Canada. It's very interesting. Why doesn't Mexico just ship it to Canada and we just keep all of our celery? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Somebody's making some money. So I hope you try celery this year. You can buy it in the nurseries. If you don't want to start from seed, buy it in the nurseries. Note, when you buy celery from a greenhouse, a box store, or whatever, I want you to flip it over, take it out of that plastic container. Look, is there any slugs? Are there any white little worms? Are there any bugs? If there are, you need to be buying that from someplace else. A lot of times at farmers markets early in the summer, there will be people that will sell seedlings. Buy it from one of them. But celery is a fun plant. At the end of the video, I'll link my video that talked about the fundamental trinity of cooking, because it has some other things about celery in there also. But look at your frost date, because that is probably the most important thing. If you have any chance at all that it may frost or snow or a lot of cold rain, your nights aren't going to be above 50, 55 degrees. Just wait a week or two. Keep them inside under lights. If you need to put them in a bigger pot, put them in a bigger pot. But celery is one of those things that you need to grow. So this is Sandy at Apple Cottage. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy your cup of tea. Make some pumpkin bread or banana bread or zucchini bread. So good in the morning. Like, subscribe, and share with the world.